themselves in qualification places for European football. We look at all of this on this edition of Weekend Sports Extraordinary. When we return from the break, stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on
Welcome back. It's Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me on this edition Kingsley Manuel.
Thank you very much for having me, Siri. Very happy to be here this weekend.
Well, Kingsley is here. We hope Okuyo Tako should join us any moment from now, of course, via Zoom, but we'll get started straight away. And it is neither rain for players and officials of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, aftermath of their silver winning medal at the just concluded African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. The players of the Super Eagles have been going around and, of course, getting some commendation. And only on their arrival, we saw that the president did give them flats in Abuja and, of course, piece of land and, of course, national order, member of the Order of Nigeria. But some of the states are beginning to, identify with their own. And River State Governor Similaye Fubara has identified with the goalkeeper of the team, Stanley Nwabali. Stanley Nwabali is from Okuzi, near Omok in River State, and the governor, in a reception yesterday at Government House, did not only give Stanley Nwabali 20 million naira cash, but he made him a distinguished service star of River State. This is very commendable for the state government. Of course, the governor did mention that his performances, it should be a source of encouragement to other rivers in the youth.
Yeah, I think for me it was really an impressive one. Of course, a nice gesture from the state governor, putting up that particular one as well yesterday, especially for our own Stanley Nwabali. I think it's good when we see players being commended in such a manner. Just like you mentioned, we've seen some of the players, of course, have been commended by either the state governor or the commissioner of sports. I think the other day we saw the Eyimba goalkeeper, despite the fact that he didn't play in the game, talking about Joe, he was actually being received by the Kogi State, commissioner of sports as well. William Chunsekan was also being received by the governor of Akwa Ibom State as well. And now we're seeing this gesture from River State's governor, Similaye Fubara, so to Stanley Nwabali, who actually had an impressive tournament. Of course, he would have actually won the best, goalkeeper of the tournament, if not for the prowess of the South African goalkeeper, talking about Williams. So these are things, of course, we want to see.
He is not just out of it. He is a reserve goalkeeper for the team.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a short while. But talking about award given to Stanley Nwabali by the River State government, like we mentioned earlier, it was earlier given member of the Order of Niger by the federal government of Nigeria under the headship of course, Tinubu. But down in River State, he's been made a distinguished service star of River State. So multiple awards there for Stanley Nwabali. And if that's not enough, he has at least 20 million naira to his bank account. And that's, of course, it's in addition to the flat and house given to him by the federal government. So Stanley Nwabali definitely, in Cloud 9, if you allow me to use that word at this point in time. But it's not only Stanley Nwabali. There was at that reception ceremony yesterday in Government House. I was there, and I didn't see that the governor as well did dollars as much as 30 million naira to the technical crew of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We saw them there. Coach Pesero was at the Government House there with his assistant Finidi George. Of course, some other assistants were all there with Pesero. They were given 30 million naira for bringing some, say, color and a prestige to Nigeria at the just concluded African Cup of Nations.
I think there's another gesture as well from the state governor. He didn't actually show that gesture to Oli Nwabali. He also did to the technical crew. I think for me, the River State governor, similarly Fulbright, is one man, of course, who is so particular about sports, of course, in the state. Despite the fact that he has to look into other matters, but he still has that interest and passion, because he knows that sports is actually one means in the state whereby the youth, of course, can engage and get themselves away from some of these issues in terms of robbery, kidnapping, and all of that. So he's trying most to reward those who are actually told in this direction. Remember the last time where he actually rewarded the man who ran from Lagos to Port Harcourt, talking about winning Port Harcourt as well. He also rewarded him. Now we're seeing him coming up as well with this gesture towards Stanley Nwabali and the Super Eagles technical crew. For me, I think it's a good one. This is what we need to do, rewarding those, of course, who actually go this way in terms of putting smiles in the faces of Nigerians, and also making the country proud and putting the country, of course, in the limelight. I think for me, it's a very good gesture. We hope, of course, to see more, probably maybe from other state governors in the rewarding these players. It's not an easy feat. After it took Nigeria over 11 years for them to get to the finals of the African Cup of Nations. That's over a decade, you will say. So getting to the finals is not, an easy feat, and it actually, demand that, the state governors, top officials in the country, put up this gesture just to make sure that these players, of course, they feel fulfilled and be happy for what they did for the country.
Well, Naira rain coming the way of players and officials of the Super Eagles of Nigeria for their feat at the just concluded African Cup of Nations. The governor, like we mentioned, they are $50 million naira, 20 for Stanley Nwabali and 30 for the technical crew of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And that was not enough. Like I mentioned, it was Naira rain at the Government House, Port Harcourt, River State yesterday, because we saw a situation where there was more money, 50 million naira this time to Rivers Hoopers, the basketball team that was on the showcase. Of course, remember the basketball team did win the Premier League title here in Nigeria that earned them the qualification ticket to the basketball league in Africa. The governor noted for helping them to qualify, equally appreciated their performances after winning the trophy that ensured that they will be in Senegal in May this year.
Yes, I think Rivers Hoopers is one team, of course, we'll see when it has to do even basketball in the country. They've actually gotten that much recognition, and it's good of a thing that the governor is actually giving them this accolade or this reward, at this point in time. 50 million, a very huge amount of money. That's to say that about 100 million actually went out of the governor's pockets yesterday just to reward this people talking about the Super Eagles technical crew, Stanley Nwabali, and as well as the Rivers Hoopers players. I think is a very huge one. That money, of course, will really go a long way in helping the players, just to as well motivate them, this time around. So for me, it's a good one. We saw how it was down here in Port Harcourt when River Supers, actually won that one, taking out the best teams, of course, to merge, champions. For me, I think the governor actually did very well in doling out that huge amount of money to the players.
We'll just be joined by Okuyo Sakwe. Okuyo Sakwe, of course, is known south of Nigeria as one of the top sports analysts around. And Okuyo, nice to have you on this edition of Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Cyril, and all our listeners, all our viewers. It's good to be here once again.
Okay, it was Naira rain at Government House, River State, at the weekend because the governor doled out 100 million naira. First was 20 million to Stanley Wabali, your kinsman and brother, for his feat at the last Cup of Nations. And as if that was not enough, he was made a distinguished service star of River State. Beyond that, 30 million went to the technical crew of the Super Eagles headed by Coach Pesero. I saw George Finidi and the other assistants with Pesero at Government House. And beyond that, we saw another, 50 million, a whooping $50 million to Rivers Hoopers for their feat of qualifying for the Basketball League for 2024 due to get off or tip off in Senegal in May this year. What a way to motivate these ones, and of course, do I say even the younger ones as well, to emulate the feat of Stanley Wabali, Super Eagles, and the basketball team of River State, the Hoopers.
Yeah, you will agree with me that one of the ways to get people to do more or to do better is to appreciate them for what they've done already. Saying thank you to who have done well is just a way of saying please keep on or do better. For Stanley Wabali, the first Onega man, I always say proud to be an Onega at this time to receive such an award to represent Super Eagles at the AFCON, and of course the first Onega man to win a medal to the podium finish at the AFCON, a good one. And so yes, for us, for River State, it was the Rivers indigene, the only Rivers born player, and the only Rivers indigene in that team. For a very long time, we've not had that. I think the last time we had a Rivers indigene in the team was Joseph Yobo was the last Rivers man to represent Nigeria at the Super Eagles, to represent Rivers rather at the Super Eagles. And so, being appreciated by the state governor, by the state government and the entire people of the state is a good one for Stanley Wabali. Not just that, this will tell the team that look, if you can get this by getting the silver, you could get more. Maybe next time you get the gold, and so it's going to help to score the team, including Joseph Pesero and his entire coaching crew. That look, we appreciate what you did for us. We hoped it was better than the silver, but we also appreciate what you've done. And then also for the Rivers Hoopers, one of the first things that our governor, dear Governor Simpubara, did when he came onto office, when he came on board as governor of River State, was to appreciate the River State female handball side with a 50 million. And so that tells you that look, he set a pace, he had already set the pace, and there was no reckoning. It cost lot of hope that we now have a governor, or we have the governor was going to continue with what the Insuligi did by us supporting sports. And so he did all that, and he has done that again for River Super. It's a way to encourage other teams in the state. If you go far, if you represent the state, if you bring athletes, you get a good name to the state, you bring glory to the state, you are going to appreciate it, to be recognized by seeing the governor of the entire River State.
Well, at the ceremony was the sports commissioner, Barrister Christopher Green, and a former Super Eagles player, in fact, a gold medal winner, achieved by Barrister Doke Amesi Mecca. Both of them were full of praises for His Excellency for not just rewarding winners, but for motivating them to win. Like you mentioned, he did sponsor the basketball championship here in Rivers State a couple of months ago that led to the emergence of Rivers Hoopers. And for Stanley Wabali, the encouragement to this level has been awesome. What do you make of this attitude? Maybe you should be worthy of emulation of other governors, not just receiving them when they win, but getting them preparing them to win laurels.
Yes, like I did mention earlier, it's really going to encourage us to emulate StarTimes Valley. Sorry, the final piece there. Sorry about that. Now, being done for StarTimes Valley and for the River Supers to show that look, it's no longer business as usual in River State when it comes to sports. This has been our cry, for years now. That look, we need to begin sports seriously. And if River State could get so much mention by having a player in the AFCON, bring silver in a tournament of just 3 weeks to one. Imagine what will happen if you have Rivers indigenes, in other areas of sports. For instance, Mr. Cyril, you and I are aware that the Rivers International Marathon is around. That's another sports, another sports event that the Rivers government is sponsoring, making sure that we have our name on the international map. A sports event that State on the international calendar of the world. If you do well in that tournament as a Rivers indigene, if you go toe-to-toe with the guys from all over the world, you will be rewarded. And I know, I want to believe that right now, even people who do not believe that they can put toe-to-toe have started training just to make sure that maybe they can also get what has been here for Nigeria Rivers Nigerian athletes who may not get a podium finish in the Rivers International. All in all, put this all together, I hope the recent opening of the Real Madrid Academy shows that we are grateful to God and we now have a governor who listen, who will listen to sports, who will listen to sportsmen, who will do everything to encourage our youth to go into sports. Of course, you know that sports is indeed rewarding. 20 million for StarTimes Valley for a 3-week, and therefore it's much more than anyone can ask. And that's the kind of reward that you get when you take sports seriously. And we have a governor who has come out to encourage people to go into sports. I just wish some of those money come to us as sports writers, as journalists.
Well, that's just a wish, and we hope that the authorities are listening. Sports writers are partners in the development of sports across, especially in River State here, where the governor, Sasim Fubra, is doing everything from marathon to basketball, athletics and football, trying to ensure that no sport is left out in ensuring that the youths of the state are gainfully employed. Well, okay, let me take you on the resumption of the league. After 19 matches, the next 19 is set to begin this weekend, and starting with this weekend fixture, Rivers United, the state football team, is at their Dokia Mercy Mecca Stadium against Doma United as the first game in the second stanza of the 2023-2024 Premier League here in Nigeria.
Yes, Doma, a cracker of an encounter. Doma really surprised everyone. Remember the promotion just this season, and already as I speak with you, they are the darling team right now of the state. They play the same state group, and a lot of fans are already clamoring for United to be made the main team of the state. That will tell you how much they've done and and goodwill they've been able to generate for themselves. So they are not a side to be taken casually or lightly. First, on their part, I think this second stanza, we have a lot of people as Rivers United. Recent results have really not been what's to desire for a side like Rivers United. Travel issues, fatigue. Now I think everyone is well rested. Yes, I know they had a couple of games in the southwest where they played against Sporting. They lost to Sporting Lagos, lost again to shoot. Those results were not really maybe 3 points on those leagues before they ended up 0 points, and it affected their place on the table. So tomorrow's game against the United is a must-win for Rivers United. If they need to finish any round the Champions League or African competition places, And by that I mean within the first four. If Rivers United are serious about any the top four finish, we need enough points. And what tomorrow is another opportunity for us to pick up 3 points against Duma United. Like I said, Duma, I series I went one time went about 8 games or so at home without conceding it. So they have solid defense and Rivers United. Aim by here by 2 by maybe that same margin for higher money.
Well, it is a weekend of crack fixtures. We talked about Rivers United against Doma at the Dokia Mexico Stadium. Meanwhile, at the Danayam Stadium in Owerri, it will be a traditional fixture between Heartland and Kano Pillars. Then at the Enyimba International Stadium in Abash, Shooting Stars will be the away side. What a fixture you want to say this weekend?
I'm always interested in any fixture that so I'm really interested in that. No, so and
Well, we seem to be having a little bit of technical issues there, but should be sorted out in a short while. For now, we'll take a break. When we return for a break, we'll continue to look at the second stanza of the Premier League here in Nigeria, and of course across. We know that after the Nations Cup, there has been a team made for aftermath of the Nations Cup. The team of the 2023 African Cup of Nations will extrude that team, and of course the reserve. Then we'll wrap it up with fixtures across Europe this weekend. Very interesting pairing, I must tell you. Some of matches are already on. When we return from a break, we'll serve you with all of this. Stay with us.
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back. It's Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition here on the Multi Television Network, and we've just been told, of course, we've told you about what has happened at this government house where Governor Sim Fubra had splash cash, 100 million on sports personalities in the state. Talking about the River Supers taking 50 million naira, while Stanley Wamba, the goalkeeper for the Super Eagles of Nigeria from River State, had 20 million naira and a Distinguished Service Star River State Award. And technical of the Super Eagles were showered with 30 million naira for the effort at the just concluded African Cup of Nations. And we told you earlier too that the second stanza of the Nigerian Premier League is starting this weekend with crack features in Port Harcourt. It's Rivers United hosting Doma in what looks like a decider of the fate of Rivers United, whether they will jump into the first half, which is among the top 10 of the league here in Nigeria. The position so far is not too good. Then there are other, mouth-watering fixtures. Hadland FC taking on Kano Pillars, Enyimba taking on Shooting Stars, traditional fixture in the league here in Nigeria. Katsina United will take on Niger Tornadoes this weekend as well, where Plateau United will be at home to Lubi Stars. Remo Stars will travel to Umuahia to take on Abia Warriors, while Sunshine Stars is in Akure with a new coach. Obawana and of course Baboye are there. While Enugu Rangers will take on Akwa United in another interesting fixture. Sporting Lagos is in Lagos against Insurance of Benin. Then, if you're anywhere around Yenegua, Bayelsa United will host Gombe United this weekend. Mouth-watering fixtures, Kingsley.
Mouth-watering fixtures, of course, in the Nigerian Premier Football League, talking about the second stanza. And it promises to be very, very interesting this time around. The teams, of course, just like Elki said earlier, they've rested, they've rejuvenated themselves, and the energy is back, of course. They're ready to fight. This is the second standard. If you don't get it right at this point in time, you might never get it, right again, because this is the time and the moment where you have to fight, of course, for 3 points. All 3 points, in any match, of course, any of the team get to find themselves. So from what we've seen so far, I think it's going to be an impressive one. Doma United against Rivers United this weekend promised to be an interesting cracker. Rivers United, they've not done well, of recent. I don't know, maybe it's due to the continental engagements. Maybe they're probably, you could say, fatigue. Of course, they actually played into the team. But the rescheduled games, of course, we've seen, they've not been done fantastic. They've not utilized those rescheduled games. If you take a look at it now, they are 12 on the log. Doma United, they'll be playing against this weekend. They are third on the log at this point in time. So I think Rivers United, they will really have to fight hard to see how they can get back themselves, of course, for a continental sport as well at the end of the season. So it promises to be an interesting one this weekend. Let us see what comes up, and I will pray that a team like Akwa United, who is actually close at the relegation zone as well, will look forward to see how they can actually bounce back to look for a continental sport at the end of the day. But it's going to be a dicey situation for Akwa United. They had a coach for Shaw, which everyone thought, of course, would have actually helped them this season. But the man was not able, and they actually, at this point in time, relieve him of his job, and he resigned. But from what we've seen at this point in time, we look forward to see a rejuvenated Aqua United. Kennedy Boy now as Sunshine Stars, as you speak. And Sunshine Stars, of course, they are 14 now on the log. Kennedy Boy, of course, I think from what we've seen, would have actually done better, at Heartland. He was almost taking the team away from relegation, not until the state governor Nat came in and said that the previous coach, of course, should actually take up the job. But I think Kadeboye has a lot, of course, to offer at Sunshine Football Club. Take a look at the top three. Remo Stars are still there. Doma United, Kano Pillars, Eyimba Football Club. When you talk about the top 5 teams now in the MPFL, that's to say that the table is really looking very dicey. So the teams have to fight for all 3 points in this second standard. If you don't get it, it might be difficult for you to get it before the season comes to an end.
Well, the second stanza of the league will determine final placing on the table at the end of the season. So it is now getting more, hot, with the fixtures week in, week out. Well, talking about the team that that has been made the AFCON full team list. You're aware the Cup of Nations has come and gone, with 24 countries, fighting for the trophy. Only one, Cote d'Ivoire, got it at the end of the day. But we had the teams, 24 countries with their players showing different quality, at which a committee actually picked the team of the African Cup of Nations for 2023. And in goal for the AFCON 2023 full squad is Rowan Williams. Of course, you know him, the goalkeeper of the South African national football team, Bafana. Kingsley, for the goalkeeping department, we've had the choice of Rowan Williams as the first choice goalkeeper, and then reserve goalkeeper is Stanley Nwabali. Everybody, they know him, the South African goalkeeper, for his 4-goal feat, stopping 4 goals in one of the penalty shootouts at the Nations Cup, and keeping clean sheet as well in about 5 games. A lot of people think that it should have been Stanley Nwabali as well. Stanley Nwabali did stop penalties, no, not 5 in 1 game. Then he too had clean sheet in 4 games, arguably 3 because of the rules which says that now if you did not be in goal post for all of 90 minutes, that won't be counted as a game for you. We saw him pull out in one of the fixtures leading up to, I think that was a quarter-final fixture leading up to the semi-final. So do you think the technical committee that did choose Rowan Williams ahead of Stanley Nwabali did a good job?
Yeah, but for me, yes, I think they did a good job. If you take a look at the prowess of Williams, the South African goalkeeper, and this the just completed African Cup of Nations, I think he actually did well. We saw him with that heroic penalty save, 7-4 penalties, in a particular AFCON game, and even in the 3rd place encounter against DR Congo, he also had another penalty save as well. And he was very, very instrumental, of course, for the success of the South Africans taking up the bronze medal in the African Cup of Nations. For Stanley Nwabali, yes, he did well with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, but was so unfortunate. If he had actually kept a clean sheet in the final, that would have given him that edge, against Ron Williams in this particular one. So for me, I think the committee they did a good job. The selection was right for me. Stanley Nwabali actually deserved it, but that final, of course, actually did not give him what he won. For Ron Williams, I think it was actually a good decision from the committee.
Ron Williams, goalkeeper for South Africa, is the team goalkeeper for the African Cup of Nations for 2023. Let's look at the defense fixtures. We have Olai from Nigeria, part of the team of defenders for the African Cup of Nations. We have Chrislan Kolan from Ivory Coast, William Trusekon, captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as well in that defense line of the AFCON 2023 side. Do you think that these 3 defenders are well above their peers? Chancellor Mbeba from the Democratic Republic of Congo as well is in that squad of 4 defenders for the AFCON 2023 list.
Yeah, if you take a look at these defenders, being lined up, they actually their team made it to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of the African Cup of Nations. I say apart from DR Congo, that we got Chance Mbemba, who actually came 4th as well. Olaoluwa Aina was very fantastic. You can actually rule him out, from this particular list. From the 1st to the end, to the finals of the African Cup of Nations, the man was very, very instrumental for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, despite the fact that we saw him had a little bit of sleep in that final against Cote d'Ivoire, why he was being round, in the wing. But William Troost-Ekong, of course, the Nigerian man as well, was also very fantastic. In fact, he was made the best player, all for the competition. Looking at the penalties, of course, he converted for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Very, very impressive defensive, work, and we saw from him in this particular one. And he was not even that; he was also a team leader. The way he was able to motivate the Super Eagles, down to the finals was another distinguished, attributes from him. So for me, they actually deserve it. And you talk about Jason Conan, the man from Cote d'Ivoire.
Just before we get on, William Troost-Ekong, right now, after the Nations Cup, has gotten into the history book of CAF for being the only defender in CAF history in the entire 67 years of African Cup of Nations to score 5 goals in a tournament. Defender scoring 5 goals, that's quite a number.
Yes, that's a very huge, of course, impressive, feat, of course, for William Troost-Ekong. I tell you, the man has really, improved. When prior to the African Cup of Nations, everyone thought, what is William Troost-Ekong coming to do in the AFCON again? He's 30 years of age. The man has not been fantastic, in recent game, but he came to this AFCON and actually proved everyone, wrong. 3 goals for him in this African Cup of Nations. That actually made it, took his goal tally to 5. A defender scoring that huge amount of goal is actually something very huge. And the man has been very good in terms of converting penalties and also making use of his head. And that's what a very good defender, should be made of. And we'll send it from William Troost-Ekong.
William Troost-Ekong making Nigeria proud, ending history books as the only defender in the entire history of the African Cup of Nations to score 5 goals. It doesn't come 83. He scored earlier on. He has scored 2 before the 2023 African Cup of Nations. Let's look at the midfield department. We have Teboho Mokena from South Africa as one of the notable midfielders there. Then there's Jean-Michel Seri from Ivory Coast as well in the midfield position. There's Frank Kessié, another Ivorian top player in that midfield. They have 3 midfielders picked up for the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, if you take a look at it, 2 Ivorian midfielders, made that particular list, and they actually deserve it. You take a look at Frank Kessié, was very instrumental, of course, for the Ivorians in that particular one, especially in the finals against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I think he had a goal and also, made got the man of the match award in that particular one. You can also take away Jean-Michel Seri as well, who also was very instrumental, for the Ivorians in that particular one. So for me, it was really an impressive one. I don't really tend to have much, worries or problem with this midfield selection. And talking about the South African man, Teboho, I think he also, deserved this particular one. But the 2 men I really saw that the merits to be here is the 2 Ivorian midfielders, talking about Jean-Michel and Frank Kessié.
Mokena plays his professional football in South Africa, making it the list for 2023. That's a strong statement for the South African League.
Strong statement, of course, he will say. And if you take a look at the South African team in this African Cup of Nations, they had their strength really came from the midfield. They were able to play from the midfield and how to press, their opponents in this particular one, and that's where actually what really helped them to go far in this particular African Cup of Nations. We saw that synergy from the players, so they were able to build, from the midfield down to the, yard or for the opponents, and that's why, of course, we're seeing Mokena. He was able, of course, to drive the ball and as well, gain this particular recognition.
Mokena, if you remember, he was the man who scored against Nigeria in the 90th minute that ensured that we went into penalty shootout. But again, we did overpower South Africa in that fixture. Let's look at the other midfielder, Frank Kessié from Cote d'Ivoire. Frank Kessié, has made a statement in this competition. He definitely distinguished himself for Cote d'Ivoire, and now he's in the African team.
Yeah, Frank Kessié, one man, of course, who flies straight down there. I think at some point, for the Italian side, talking about AC Milan. The man, of course, he was very, very instrumental for the success we've seen for the Ivorian side in this particular African Cup of Nations. He actually caused the Super Eagles of Nigeria a lot of trouble. Yes, in the finals of the African Cup of Nations. He even had a collision. I think some kind of exchange of word with Stanley Nwabali. He really had a very, very impressive AFCON tournament. He had even got the man of the match, in that final. So for me, the man really. I
remember him scoring against, I think, Senegal. They ensured that they were out of the, at the stage. They were finally, yes, Senegal, he scored at the last minute to ensure that they did come back into the game, and of course ensuring that they were not eliminated from the competition in that match against Senegal.
The man was very instrumental, of course, for the Ivorian, and huge thanks, of course, to the coach MSFAE, who was able, of course, to use him, of course, very well after we saw the departure of Louis Gasset. MSFAE was able to use him very well, of course, in that midfield, and he proved himself. So for me, I think he really merits, to be in that particular, list.
Well, let's look at the strikers. For the strikers, we had Yone Wissa from the Democratic Republic of Congo. There is Ademola Lookman, of course, 3 goals winner, goal scorer at the Nations Cup for Nigeria. Then there is the top goal scorer for the competition, Emilio Sue from Equatorial Guinea as well. Nobody should be having any problem with the selection of strikers for the tournament.
Yeah, nobody, because you take a look at it, they are the best. Emilio Sue, 5 goals in the tournament. Ademola Lookman, 3 goals as well. Wani, the man from the Democratic Republic of Congo, I think he had a goal as well. I think he had about 2 goals in the tournament. So I don't think there's much worries down there in that attacking line. These players actually live up to expectation.
But starting at this competition, one would have thought that Victor Osimhen would be on the list, but he scored only 1 goal. And surprisingly, Ademola Lookman improved on all of his performances for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, scoring 3 goals at the tournament.
I think the VAR was somehow not fair to Victor Osimhen. Somehow, because he had about 3 goals cancelled, by the video assistant referee, and he only scored 1. Maybe if those goals probably might have been counted, he might have gotten about 4 goals, and that would have given him a very good position in the tournament. For me, statistic-wise, was a poor tournament for Victor Osimhen. But when it comes to performance, I think the tactics that was deployed by Pesero really, made him not to, get that chance, because we didn't see more from the midfield. If the midfield of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, if they have done well, Victor Osimhen would have gotten that opportunity, those chances, of course, to score. But the midfield was not really good enough. So we even saw him coming back to do the defensive work at some point. So how do you expect him to get the ball? Even when he gets the ball, he's always alone with 2 or 3 defenders, and before you know, they've taken the ball from him. And it's always very difficult, and the fact that the VAR too wasn't really fair to him, it actually gave him a very poor AFCON tournament based on statistics, and goals.
Well, that's it for the Super Eagles. Addition, we had William Troost-Ekong and Ademola Lookman, 3 Nigerian players in that squad. If you add goalkeeper Stanley Wabali, definitely you know that Nigeria didn't have a bad tournament at all. That will be it for this edition of Sports Extraordinary. But don't forget, we normally will bring you our Sports Extraordinary on the weekend. But before then, there are some crowd fixtures this weekend across European League. Which one should be of interest to you, Stanley Kingsley, before we wrap up the show?
I think, yes, if you take a look at it, the Premier League is something, of course, we should look at. For Arsenal, of course, they are still hunting for the title. They'll also be in action this weekend, I think, against Burnley. Those are, some kind of fixtures everyone wants to put their eye on, because at this point in time, everyone is looking to see what Arsenal will be able to do. This time, it should be a time where they should be able to lay their hands, on the title, because we saw them last season.
Action that I should be looking at even the German Bundesliga, where Bochum will take on Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich seem to be dropping points this time around, even at their home ground in Munich. So I think my attention this weekend will really be on the German Bundesliga as well. We have to wrap up the show this weekend, and our Sports Extraordinary this weekend. From what we've done so far this weekend, you should know that Stanley Wabali is our Sports Extraordinary, a member, reserve goalkeeper for the African team at the just concluded African Cup of Nations, goalkeeper that took Nigeria to the 2nd place position at the African Cup of Nations. In spite of the fact that we were crying about goalkeeping department, he came and became the savior of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So Stanley Wabali, for us here on Atlantic Television Network, is our Sports Extraordinary for this weekend. Not because he had 20 million naira from the Rivers State government or a distinguished service star, but at least his performances should have made a lot of Nigerians proud. Even when he was sick, you remember Kingsley?
Yes.
A lot of people were praying for him to get well, to return back to the post.
True.
What do you think of Stanley Wabali as Sports Extraordinary?
I think he's a hero at this moment. He's a hero because if not him, we don't know if we would have gotten to that final. He saw that penalty saves, I think that was it the quarterfinal or semi-final stage that took us, in fact, to the finals. That was a very, very huge, won from Stanley Nwabali.
The penalty against South Africa.
Yes, penalty against South Africa, and that really distinguished him. So for me, the man is a hero. We hope he continue with this same momentum, and we pray that maybe other goalkeepers, of course, will also live up to expectation, so that we don't have this goalkeeping problem anymore in the Super Eagles team.
We've had we've had Emmanuel Okala, Best Ogedengbe, Vincent Ayema, and then it looks now we're having Stanley Nwabali. We hope that he will be around for a long time to come. And that will be it for this edition of Sports Extra Weekend Edition. We'll return next weekend with yet another exciting edition of Sports Extra. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
Oh, what a point there!
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
I'm Mr. Fortunate. I'm from Ahoda East Service. So in respect to your question, white wedding or traditional marriage, people call it traditional marriage or wedding. If you look at it very critically, there is a misplacement of priority. And people do something because of by wagon effect. People don't even know what they are entering into. Now, white wedding, what is white wedding? Naturally, white wedding is a white man culture. Now, if you talk about our traditional marriage, it is when father and mother they are consented to marry or to give their daughter and son together. That's how marriage takes place. But now today, if you look at Nigerian society today, people or ladies, they believe that white wedding is ultimate. And why is it ultimate to them? Because of Ashebi. That's the most priority. Apart from Ashebi, if you ask majority of ladies today, what's the importance of white wedding? None of them will be able to give you a clear term or a concrete answer. They will tell you, say, I want to be celebrated. That's the joy because I've attended to somebody Ashebi or white wedding. But the question is, what is white wedding? What is a traditional marriage? Traditional marriage is only based on the attitude or the people of the family. What they can say is our culture. Where we're having problems today is that what they say is our culture. You discover that you ask yourself, what is the culture? People are not able to define culture. Therefore, they are modeling white wedding and traditional marriage.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis. ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
You are watching Wedding Bouncer on Atlantic Television Network. This program highlights issues about wedding, its preparation, post-wedding, and marital issues. Couples as stakeholders relive their most special moments, the rigors of wedding preparation, and the joy therein. And on today's Society, we should be looking at two interesting topics. The first one is pre-wedding rituals and traditions. And also we have a question here: should parents financially support newly wedded couples to start their homes? These are the topics that we're going to be looking at today. And of course, I won't be doing this alone. I have two amazing guests in the house. I have with me a relationship therapist, Sheenie Davis. Thank you for joining me on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
And also a relationship expert here talking about Angel Wokoma. Angelic Angel, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on
All
the
right,
show.
good to have you in the show. Let's look at the narration for. All right, so when we're talking about pre-wedding rituals and tradition, we are talking about a land of diverse culture and traditions, and each country and community has its own set of pre-wedding rituals and traditions. Yes, we all know that Africa is rich in traditions and culture. When it comes to wedding especially, Africans tend to go all out to ensure the day is memorable. From dancing camels in Niger to dancing off in South Africa, and henna ceremonies in Kenya and Tanzania, and so many more. African wedding tradition comes in various shapes and forms. It is a common practice around the world to ask for a girl's hand in marriage. Yes, and I'm sure they did that for you, for those that are married. Many African weddings ceremonies cannot move forward without these steps. You can't go forward if you don't pay bride price. That is one of the most common tradition. A marriage in African tradition is a union between two families, not just two individuals. That's why an engagement ceremony, which is often also a dowry, that's bride price payment ceremony, is very, very important. Those ceremonies bring together the whole family and allow each side to get to know each other. Bride price is still widely practiced, remains a crucial part of many African wedding tradition. In the past, it was a way of for the groom to show if really they can provide for their wives. But is it still the same thing now? We don't know. But before we proceed, let's discuss the importance of these wedding rituals. That's pre-wedding rituals of ABC in African countries. And there are some places in Africa where a particular thing has to be done years before. The most common one is a blood oath. You have to take that to tell your loved one that you're not going to do this thing. As long as you are married, you're not going to cheat on him, you're not going to cheat on her, and all of those things. Are they still happening? But before we proceed, let's go to our relationship therapist, Sheenie Davis. What do you understand when we are talking about pre-wedding rituals?
Well, for me, I think pre-wedding ritual is something you have to do to maybe show your commitment to your partner. It may be anything depending on the tradition. Some may not necessarily be tradition. It may be something your partner wants you to do. You know, he might decide that, okay, if we want to go down this path, then we have to do this. That's, you know, just how I see it. And if you're asking if it's something I want to do, really, if you're asking if it's something I want to do, well, I would say, I'm going to be biased here, okay? It depends on the partner, of course. You know, these days, nobody wants to suffer.
Well, it's okay. We will come to that because you are saying it depends on the partner, and I mean, that means, you know, anytime a woman says it depends on the man, it has to do with money, something huge. So that's what I'm saying. We'll come to that. Now, Angelic Angel.
Okay.
When we are talking about wedding ritual, what comes to your mind?
When we talk about wedding rituals, what comes in my mind is the ceremony preceding the wedding proper. There are ceremonies, there are traditions that has to be done before the marriage will take place proper. And that, like she said, I just want to borrow her words, although, because it's in line with what we are talking about. It has to do with the commitment to show that you are ready to consummate your marriage with your partner.
All right. Ahem. Relationship therapist. I don't know why I'm... Let's come back to this. You are saying that if you would like to do this, your answer is a yes and no. Depends on the person. You know, I would really like you to elaborate on this because so many girls are in bondage today. So many women, especially women, are in bondage today because of these single pre-wedding rituals. Like I stated earlier here, yes, we have one that is very common in our society, which is dowry, that is payment of bride price, all right? That one is to show that indeed I'm ready to take responsibility for this girl. But that one that women or men, couples, they go extra mile to do, let's take blood oaths. We also have a particular couple in Nigeria in particular. You do something that whether I'm alive or I'm no longer there, you're not going to cheat on me. And then that is why I'm saying that a lot of girls seems to be in bondage because of this, even when they know about it. So why do you say you will go into it depending on the person that you're getting married to?
Okay, well, like I said, it depends on the person. Now, let me take the ritual of faithfulness, a commitment, for instance. I would not, you know, go through the ritual of commitment with a man that I know is a community property. Because for crying out loud, why would you want to, you know, pass something that you cannot do? You can't even do it. Why? Is it because I'm a woman?
Please, what do you mean by community property?
Now, when a man is a community property, it belongs to everybody in the community.
Like both men and women?
Well, I don't know if you want to put it like that, but in most cases now, things are changing, but the one I mean is not same sex actually, but you know, opposite.
That so men, to all the women.
Yes, some people belong in the streets. They belong to the community. So if you have a man like that that doesn't know what it means to be committed, why would I want to hang my life in the line just to please him or just to bear his name? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, if he, on the other side, is somebody that I know that has, you know, maybe has been hurt in the past, responsible, very committed, a one-woman man, the only problem he has is he's afraid of being hurt, I can consider, because this person maybe has, you know, mental issues on commitment and trust. And the only way I can get him to settle down or to get his mind to it is to, you know, promise him that, look, we're going down this path together. I'm going to do this with you forever. Then we can consider that. But for a community man, no way.
Community man. No, we have community men. All right. Angel, I would like to know, based on what she just explained, if you are getting married, or they're about to get married to a man, like, I would say community, this one is, things have been done properly, but it's not one wife, like, you happen to be the 5th or 6th wife, all right? And then, there's a particular ritual that you have to do to show your commitment. will you put your life in line knowing that this man have everything you want? Like, your life is just going to be so comfortable. Everything is going to be within your reach. But you have, and you love the person. You're willing to be first, second, or third.
Okay.
What do you do?
Okay, no, okay. You're not talking about if I happen not to be the first, the second, the third, and and the fourth, the fifth wife. But now, before I answer you the question, I want to also to look at the ritual in its integrity. We have positive rituals. We can talk about positive rituals. When we talk about reading the vows and the marriage, these are rituals. Rituals.
Yeah, we
now,
know.
No, calm. Now, when we talk about reading the rituals, there are things we call, they call it hand fasting. It's also part of rituals. Now, hand fasting, whereby the both of your hands, like you are married, this is the wife, this is the husband, whereby the family are going to join their hands together. Okay, these are rituals.
Yes, they are.
We also have tree planting. These are rituals. Now, these are positive rituals that one can take before you live with your husband. Now, it also, we have in different cultures, we have diverse cultures. We have different ways of looking at, rituals. Now, if anyone that goes against my religion, if anyone that goes against my faith, of course, I will not do that. But if it is these positive rituals, like in Igbo language, there's all called Ibanku. That Ibanku is also a ritual. Then it's whereby the bride will take up a cup of wine to search for the groom in the midst of the guests. Present the wine, a cup of wine, in the midst of the guests. This is called Ibanku. They also have it in Efik. In Efik, and there's what we call it Mbodo in Efik, whereby you have to keep the bride in, secluded. Treat her, massage her, feed her very well, so that her skin will be shiny. Now, why will anybody object to that? Then if you go to the Yoruba land, they have what we call Eru Iyawo. That Eru Iyawo is also, is whereby the husband, that's the groom's family, they're going to give them arrays of gifts in order to show that they are committed to the family because they want to marry, their daughter. Then, so it differs. In Isoko, they will say, let the bride present a tuber of yam, then so that the groom will now cook it to show if he can